One of my friends last week, he was like, "Are you gonna do these tea with Tiffany every Friday?" Because I turned it on my Bluetooth, put on the loudspeaker at my office, and people were liking it. I was like, "Tea with Tiffany, I kind of like that." But actually, right now it's coffee with Tiffany. So happy Friday! So today I have in about 32 minutes my Secrets from the Pro masterclass. It is for mortgage lenders, and we're going to talk about the secrets to success. The more you lead, the more you succeed. How do you do that? A big part of it is video, which allows you to speak to the masses and market on a one-to-many versus a one-to-one. So before I get into that, I'm going to circle back to that towards the end of this. I'm going to speak for about 15 minutes here. And then I got to get ready for my masterclass. So I want to talk to you about the NAR lawsuit. There's a lot of confusion about it. Last night I was talking to one of my friends. We took our kids to Chuck E. Cheese, and she said, "Well, like, you're in the lending business, you're a coach. What are your friends are realtors? What's going to happen with this big old lawsuit? Are people going to get out of the business?" So first of all, the I told her that the buyers don't pay for the commission right now. Right now, the sellers pay for the commission. She's like, "Oh my gosh, they don't?" And I said, "No, they don't." And so what I realized in talking to people through this lawsuit discussions is that the buyer's understanding of the way a commission gets paid is vague at best. Okay. So I circled this back to the way that things changed when I was a lender in 2008. I've been a lender for 23, I think like 24, 25 years now, forever. Went to college for 4 days, went back into the mortgage industry. So I think I got my license at, back then it was Department of Real Estate license when I was 20 years old. So I remember when we had loan officers that would barely even open up a computer, and they would get like a $47,000 commission, and they didn't chase a condition. They didn't have the lock talk. Buyers would go to the closing table and they would be so shocked. They would get barely a good faith estimate. Like, I knew lenders that would rip it up and throw it in the garbage and pretend like they just closed it. So what happened after 2008 when Dodd-Frank went into place, us lenders, we actually had to up level. We had to explain what's going on, explain the way commissions were paid. Back then, before 2008, we would do what's called points, and we would negotiate those points up front. And we had to explain to the people that we were representing the way that they were getting paid. And then if they said, "I don't want to pay you 1 point," we go, "Okay, how about a half a point?" And then we raise the rate and we get some money on the back end, or we add a prepay and we get like 2 points on the back end. It was the wild, wild west back then. There was a lot of crappy lenders. So what happened through a transition, like what we're going to see right now with the lawsuit, is that it got a lot of the people that don't know how to articulate themselves, a lot of the lenders, out of the business. But what it did for the people that stuck in the business, we actually got a pay raise. The true professionals stuck in it. We didn't have to negotiate and talk about all these things with points and all that. We actually, now we get paid, most of us get paid through the lender. Like when I was at Guild Mortgage, we would get paid by, not by the person that we represented, but by how much volume we closed. So I would get a certain amount of bips, like basis points. If I got $1 million loan, sure, I got paid more than if I got a $100,000 loan, but it wasn't directly coming from my client, which took a lot of like relief off of not having to have these uncomfortable conversations. And I was able to focus on what I wanted to do, which was be an amazing lender, but I stuck with it. So what real estate agents need to look like this this is a new landscape. This is a new model. And if you're the kind of person that's like, "That's it, I'm a real estate agent, I'm out of here, I'm sick of this, it's hard enough as it is, and now I got to explain up front X, Y, and Z," which I'll get to in a minute, then that's one of the major causes of failure. One of the major causes of failure is a lack of insufficient education. So if you have an insufficient education and you're not going out and talking to your clients about what this means, 40% of the market right now is first-time home buyers. So if you're a first-time home buyer, you want to understand this. You want to look to a professional that's able to articulate what's going on and doing it on social media and video. So that's a huge part of the way that you communicate your value and you influence, you educate people, is through doing things like what I'm doing right now. So first-time home buyers, like, yes, I would be upset because it's more things that you have to understand. It's already tough enough to navigate in this market right now, whether you're a buyer's agent or you're a buyer. It's tough out there. Buyers don't have money for the down payment, let alone paying the commission. So like I said, it's a new model opportunity and it's a new landscape. Don't think of this as a roadblock. When there's a lot of confusion, remember, a confused mind doesn't buy. So when there's a lot of confusion, that's your opportunity, whether you are a lender, whether you're a buyer's agent, whether you're a first-time home buyer, to go in and understand it and work through it. Because when everybody else is like, I'm confused, oh my God, I'm just going to wait it out. I'm going to wait till July. I'm going to wait till August. I'm going to see how buyers are taking this. I'm going to see what the consumer's reaction is to this news. Then once everybody calms down and sees that it's not that big of a deal, they're going to go running and buying houses again. And by then, July and August, by then rates actually might be lower than what they are now, which is going to create the herd running, multiple offers and everything. So basically, bottom line with this lawsuit with NARS is there's two things, okay? Number one, the MLS cannot have the commission listed. However, the sellers can list concessions like negotiations on the purchase price. What kind of things are you going to give credit towards closing costs? Okay, so it just can't be listed on the MLS where the seller's paying all of the commission, period. So number two, the buyer's agent and the buyer have to have an agreement in writing stating explaining what the commission is, discussing it up front, and ultimately the buyer's responsible for that commission. Now, this can look like a number of different things. What I get out of this and what I love about this is right now, like I said earlier, the buyer's understanding of the way the commission to their agent that's representing them is paid is vague at best. People don't understand it. There was a misconception even like as close as 90 days ago that somebody said, well, wait a second, the realtor gets 6% off of me when I sell my house. I'm like, no, they're giving a portion of that commission to the buyer's agent. So that is that's an uneducated epidemic in our market that's been going on for years where people think, oh, well, the listing agent, they get 6%. It's like, no, they don't get that. So now it's going to have to be structured differently. The buyer is going to have to actually pay attention to and understand from their buyer's agent how their buyer's agent is going to get compensated, okay? So it can't be on the MLS. Like everybody's freaking out about these things. It's just the way that it's listed. It's the way that the landscape is laid out right now, okay? So I hope I'm explaining this in the best possible way. I think the bottom line to understand is that in the midst of all of this, things will always work out. You're always going to need a lender. You're always going to need representation. If anything, your buyer's agent is going to have to learn to articulate upfront things better. And you're going to be working with more and more professionals because the people that can't cut the mustard and can't understand this and share this information and work through it, they're going to be like, bye. I was on my last leg anyways. I'm out of here. So we're up leveling just as we did in 2008. And I don't mean to say that in a way where like, oh, well, too bad, so sad, buyer's agents. If you can't figure it out, like go get a different job. It's more like, hey, if you don't want to up level and you don't want to become like the true professional that understands how to articulate yourself and find workarounds, right? Another cause of a failure is a negative personality. So if I would have been one of those lenders in 2008 that said like, this is too confusing, or I have to have the lock talk, or I have to make sure that they have no surprises at the closing table. Like, what do you mean there's a CD now instead of an LE instead of the good faith estimate? I have to make sure that they know exactly what they're signing up for at the closing table. That to me is a blessing because I always operate at the highest integrity. And the people that don't operate at the highest integrity, or they're too lazy to explain the way that this goes, there's going to be people that get out of the business. So you will see an up level in agents in general. Okay. Now, as a buyer's agent and as any agent, like I said, this industry is tough enough. Like we work our buns off and there are so many buyers that they don't understand the pain that we go through when we show houses. If you're a real estate agent, you show houses on a Sunday, you work your buns off, time away from your family, you show them houses for like 90 days. And then maybe that buyer goes in and talks to a listing agent and another listing agent says, hey, I'm already working with somebody, but like, can you do this and this and that? And they ditch the person that's been driving them around and showing them homes for all that time. So I believe that this as a whole, whether you're a first-time home buyer, whether you're a buyer's agent, a seller, a lender, we're all going to have to up level and treat each other with better communication, more respect, educate each other better, articulate ourselves better. Like, that's a win to me. So I really want to see like comments if anybody is listening this, if this is making sense. Comment below, because can we all agree that we're all on this earth to serve and love as much as we can? And when you're half-assing something, you're not really explaining it, you're relying on something to be written in the MLS, that's not coming from the highest and best way to serve and love your client, okay? And if you're a first-time home buyer and you don't really understand how your buyer's agent is representing you, how they're being compensated, you want to serve and love them too as well, so they can put their best foot forward for you and be of highest integrity. So like I said, bottom line is I truly believe that this is just going to be a new landscape, a new opportunity, maybe a new business model, a new way of communicating, and a new opportunity for all of us to come together and work together for the consumer. One thing I do think is really funny is this lawsuit is like millions and millions of dollars, and this was meant to protect the homeowners, to a class action lawsuit for the homeowners, and like the plaintiff's attorney is getting like they're getting millions and millions of dollars. I'm like, wait, so the people that started this, they get like pennies compared to what the lawyers are getting paid. But don't get me started on that. I just think that's very interesting side note there. But I think the takeaway is, number one, don't freak out. Number two, don't fall into one of the major causes of failure, which is insufficient education. Number three, don't fall prey to what the news says, all the gloom and doom. Don't have a negative personality, because that's the way that you're going to not be able to achieve your homeownership dreams. If you throw up your hands and say, this is already confusing, now I'm really confused, or I'm going to wait for home prices to go down because now millions of realtors are going to leave the business, and so that means home prices are dropped, so I'm just going to wait for that. A confused mind doesn't buy. So you want to be the person that unconfuses yourself, if that's a word, and you go in and you get with an agent that knows how to articulate themselves through this time. You work together and you get the best house that's in this market right now. There is opportunity. There is a deal in every single market, okay? Every market. And remember, when there's a bloodbath, you buy, okay? When 2008, when people were foreclosing, short selling, and there was so much confusion, like Dodd-Frank wasn't put into place. Lenders were getting out of the business, going back to, there wasn't DoorDash and Uber back then, but going back to whatever jobs they came from, because they thought they were going to make a whole bunch of money without even opening up a computer. Like, there was a lot of confusion. House prices, my condo, the first condo I bought when I was like 22, and I had it for years, it went down to, I bought it for 180 something thousand. It went up to like 400 something thousand when I pulled out money and bought my Livermore house. And during 2008, it went down to like 150,000. Now, that was a bloodbath. That's where the opportunities, people that saying, oh my God, the real estate market's never going to come back. I'm just going to sit and wait. This is scary. This is difficult. I'm confused. The people, the real estate investors, and the people that knew that any 10-year trend with the housing market, any 10-year trend created an opportunity for real estate growth. So if you look at 2007, like the peak of the market before the crash, and then you look at 2017, real estate still came back with a vengeance. So those people that were smarter than the other people that were fear-based, they jumped in. They bought my condo for 150,000. Those condos now, not my exact condo, but you know what I mean. Those same condos are going for like 700,000 now in 2024. So that is a huge, huge increase, right? So this is an opportunity right now to get off the fence and go, all right, do I need perfect credit? No, you do not need perfect credit. I can help you with your credit. You find a lender that can help you reallocate your credit card debt or get that old pesky collection on, and maybe a medical collection that's under $500 that's staying there, that should be wiped off your credit. There's a new law that came into effect in 2023 that anything under $500 can't be reported and has to be removed off of your credit. So anything, again, major cause of failure is insufficient education. So any story you're telling yourself right now of, I'm going to wait till this blows over, I'm confused, I don't have the money to pay for a buyer's agent, I barely have enough money for down payment. Like, we've got you covered. Us as the professionals in the industry, we have you covered. So you get with a true, I know real estate agents that are so boss that already are way ahead of this, that are already like, my mentors are already online on video explaining things like this and how this works. So that's what you need to do. So if you're sitting on the couch and you're like, I have bad credit, I've got you. Okay. If you're the kind of person that says, like, I'm just going to save for a down payment and I'm going to watch what rates do, life old tires, new tires on your car. Your daughter turned 16 like mine did. We got to buy her a car. There's always something that's going to take money out of your savings. You don't need a big old down payment. You don't need 20% down. You can go in with very, very little money down and still buy a house. Another misconception is that you call a real estate agent first. No, you call a lender first. We're the one that comes up with a plan, explains things like this NAR lawsuit, and educates you in the highest and best integrity on what your options are and what your proper budget is, so you don't go find that dream home and you fall in love with it just to find out that there's all these pitfalls. You had $100,000 deposit in your bank account because somebody paid you back. I had this happen to me recently, and I was like, they didn't want to tell me what it was for, and they said, like, what do you think we are, drug dealers? I'm like, hey, we're loaning you as a $1.043 million loan amount. We're loaning you $1 million. We need to know where that $110,000 large deposit came from. Okay. Those are something that they already had their eye on their dream home. If we didn't uncover that ahead of time and they were already in contract, it would have been a you know what show, right? So talk to a lender first. Get somebody who you feel super comfortable that knows how to explain what's going on in the market, whether it's interest rates, whether it's this thing that I'm talking about now. And go look at their social media, go look at their Google reviews. If you can't find them, I'm telling you right now, they need to be researchable and findable. If you're a real estate agent or a lender watching this right now, my Secrets from the Pro masterclass, well, I speak to lenders only, but um, I have a masterclass starting at 9 o'clock today. So in about 15 minutes, I'm going to have to hop off. But you have to be able to share your message. You must be researchable and findable. If you are sitting there hoping that a client is going to be able to know how valuable you are, that you're a boss at guidelines, that you know jumbo ins and outs like no other, that you have the best knowledge of a DSCR loan, that you understand how to pull equity out, and they're going to rent out their house and you offset that with departing residents' rental income and help them buy another house where their other mortgage is offset. If you know you're a boss at all these things, with many of us that stuck through it during these times are now real estate agents and lenders alike. If you're in this business and you renewed your NMLS license, you're a boss. But how do people know that? How do people find you? You must be researchable and findable. You must have testimonials. Be sharing your knowledge and information, a love for your product and service with an audience that needs to hear about it, that wants to hear about it. So I hope I helped today. I am going to post the Zoom link for Secrets from the Pro. If you're a mortgage lender watching this, go to the official Mortgage and Mindset. It's my private Facebook group. The details, the bonuses, the freebies, the lead magnet, the first-time homebuyer checklist, all of that is in my private Facebook book group. I'm starting in 14 minutes, so I'm going to jump off. But thank you. Happy Friday. I hope I helped you calm your nerves on this whole talk about what the media and what you're hearing about. Am I ever going to be able to buy a house? If you're a realtor, I hope I calmed your nerves. If you're a first-time home buyer, I hope I calmed you down. It's just a new way of thinking, just the way that 2008 we had to move through it as lenders, and everything got better for the consumer, more protected, and you had a better understanding of the way things work, and there was less surprises. So have a great weekend, and I will see you next week on my video.